That's what it is here too. It's live. It doesn't tell me the bit rates though. Hi everybody. So this is kind of a contingency configuration that occurred because either the VGA cable or the power to both the computer and the monitor at the same time could be interfering with the normal operation functioning of the monitor.
So he's using my laptop.
Yeah, or it could be the VGA cable, and in which case
I like it.
So here's the new little. It's a little.
It looks good.
Temporary thing, but I can't pull up slides yet because I don't have.
Comfortable too, I bet.
This is with the OBS. We see who shows up. Maybe nobody. Maybe no one.
Maybe total.
Maybe all of them. On a Monday night, probably not. Speaking of Monday, let's talk about. Here's my wife. It's her birthday.
Hi.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, babe.
Regarding all the new recent updates on this Marvin guy, he's not the Zodiac killer. It's gotten to be a weird place in society where we even have to be chanting the names of thousands of different people and saying they're not the Zodiac killer. But Melvin is not the Zodiac killer, you guys. Just let it blow over. It's gonna blow over like everything else did. It's gonna blow over like Paul Dore. It's gonna blow over like everything. Because he, like, what's his name? Who's that dipshit that everybody thought was the Zodiac? What's his name? Gary Francis Post. It's gonna blow over like that.
Gary Newman.
Yeah, everybody thought Gary Newman was the Zodiac killer. That'd be cool.
No.
No. Criminality's third chin. Criminality's third chin thinks he's in a porn.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So what else has been going on in the realm, everybody, of everything that's been going down? Not much news. I know. So maybe the whole Melvin thing came about because someone wanted the Black Dahlia killer to also be the Zodiac killer. They always want someone else to also be the Zodiac killer, whether it's the Unabomber or anybody really. Even DB Cooper is not above suspicion with being called the Zodiac killer. So if you're of a certain age group, and that's all this thing is. Let's see what Reddit's going on about right now. We've been watching Courage the Cowardly Dog. Quite good, but I think we've seen every episode now. Have we? Pretty much?
Yeah.
Why not? I want everyone to know. It does feel weird without all my GIFs and my displays. But, guys, the Zodiac killer's glasses were... And the reason why... Rocky says, Euron says Zodiac. The reason why I think that Zodiac's glasses were a disguise is because at Blue Rock Springs, Mike Mageau said he wasn't wearing glasses. And at Blue Rock Springs, that's really... it's a very precarious time for Zodiac, and so for a person who normally wears glasses to execute the Blue Rock Springs shooting without wearing their glasses like they normally would, to me would be just not very believable. And also important to mention that the Lake Berryessa voyeur, the famous composite sketch from Lake Berryessa, Zodiac was like 50 to 100 yards away from the sunbathing college girls, and he had no glasses on. So if he's doing his voyeurism, and if he's doing, if he's out prowling around and looking at girls, and he wears glasses because he has bad vision, he's going to probably bring his glasses. He doesn't do that at Berryessa, and he doesn't do that at Blue Rock Springs. And so the appearance of glasses in, at the Presidio, to coincide with the exact comment being made by the Zodiac in the bus bomb letter that he was in disguise at that crime scene, tells me that the part of that disguise, not all of that disguise, but part of that disguise was glasses. The other part of that disguise, I believe, was wigs. And there's obviously been some dispute and argument between people online about whether or not the Zodiac wore wigs. I think he totally did wear wigs. To the ridiculous variable witness reports across every single one of the crime scenes. He has a different hairstyle, different hair color, different hair length every single time. Not one time do we have a Zodiac witness report that from between two crime scenes that has a guy with the same hair. Now you could make an argument that the Berryessa hair might be the Blue Rock Springs hair, and that lighting conditions might have. But at Lake Berryessa, he's described as having dark black, greasy hair, and at Blue Rock Springs, he's described as having blonde or lightish brown hair. And again, I've pointed to this with people that when you have a wig, it's shiny. So you want to have dark, greasy black hair. What about a shiny, shitty quality wig? But the glasses, so I don't think that's even a point of evidence for Marvin Margolis to have that on there. It's at the top of Zodiac Killer subreddit. All the evidence from, and of course, Waffle and Wolf is trying to be facetious, but really, even having glasses is a point against you being the Zodiac Killer. So the usual thread on here that he's overwhelmingly likely dead, obviously. Don't know when I think he died, but I can't prove it. So, and we just passed the Lake Herman Road. Connie Seawater has been going at it on people on Facebook, by the way. And it's funny that that's being posted because I've been seeing it everywhere too. Connie Seawater got mad at me on Facebook because I said there's no way ALA was the person on the Stein scene. Well, that's not true. There's totally a way that ALA is the guy at the Stein scene. I've gone over this so many times with people that there are plenty of ways that ALA could have been the man at the Stein scene. In fact, there's plenty of ways that ALA could have been the man at all those scenes. And all the arguments that he's been ruled out is nonsense. Is this what it's based on? The cipher? That people look, guys? There is no Z18 cipher. There just isn't one. It's made up. Hidden in the 18 character filler. I like how he puts filler in quotations. It was filler. It was padding. That's how you make a cipher symmetrical.
Wow.
Oh, this person was saying Euron's a Zodiac and then Murdering said correct. Yeah. Murdering is in the Euron Zodiac camp. It's possible. It's a better suspect than Don Chaney, but I'm just not feeling it. So you gotta feel it, you know. That's the one thing about Alan, that not only do I feel Alan, is that there's so many other like little tangential things that came up, like Ralph Spinelli's story and all these other things that have tied Alan to this thing from the beginning, that he just feels like Zodiac. Now, is it possible D'Angelo and Alan knew each other? Well, you got to prove that. But I don't think that it's him. I don't think it's D'Angelo. Benicia. Oh, I like this thread because this is a fun one. People who don't like the Allen suspect, they say, why do people believe Arthur Lee Allen wanted to be seen as the Zodiac Killer? Why would anyone want to be seen as the Zodiac Killer, dude? You know how much heat Allen was taking from the fact that the SFPD thought he was the Zodiac? And I love this narrative that people say, well, he was a child molester, so he didn't want to be seen as that. He wanted to be seen as the Zodiac Killer. It's like that. If he wanted to do that, he'd be seen as a child molester and the Zodiac Killer, which is probably what he was. And it's just you wouldn't want that. So all these people that are saying Allen was trying to trick the SFPD into making them think he was the Zodiac, for one, you're insane. No one would want to do that because Allen was under tremendous scrutiny, harassment, job interference, just meddling in every aspect of his life. News cameras following him around. His neighbors all thought he was the Zodiac Killer. The fucking cops all thought he was the Zodiac Killer. Allen lived a very, very unpleasant final remaining years because of his tie to the Zodiac case. Allen did not want to be seen as the Zodiac Killer unless he was. And I think that he probably was the Zodiac Killer. But if he wasn't, would he want to be seen as no, definitely not. What was the other? Where were we going with? There was another thing that was supposed to go somewhere with that. see, why did Alan want to be... Oh, what I meant to say is that the Z350 cipher, which wasn't decrypted until 2020, has shared forensic linguistics with the last will and testament of Arthur Lee Allen. So in the part where it says, I am not afraid of the gas chamber, because this will bring me to paradise all the sooner. And then Alan's will, where he says, I loved my brother and this made the hurt all the deeper. Those two, or that entry in the will was written before the Z340 was ever even decrypted. So Alan had seemingly had the same linguistics as the author of the Z340 cipher, but he died before the Z340 cipher was ever solved. So how could that be? And how could that be him trying to make you think he was the Zodiac? He had the same linguistics as the Zodiac, and he couldn't control it. You can't really control your linguistics. So, and if you read his letters, you can see all that. If go to zodiacconfess.wordpress.com, there's a lot of that on there. And the narratives on Reddit are just insane. Does ALA? That's a good question. Does ALA have any remaining family? I don't think so. I mean, maybe is Karen Allen still alive? Or she dead?
Good job, Pookie.
Ailey's brother is still alive as of 2 months ago. Oh, I guess Ron Allen is still alive too. Waffle Deal is a great profile on Reddit, by the way, and all the haters that have been out there saying it's not Alan, it's not Alan. Waffle Deal has been on there shredding them with the Spinelli angle, because the Spinelli angle is very much part of the key in this case. I think that the keys of this case. Who said it? Merry Christmas, it's me again. Zodiac, I believe, right? No, EAR. Was it? Is that the 1991 call? The EAR?
Dang.
When was that? Because, yeah, EAR. What was that? 1991, by the way. Yeah, Zodiac wished people Merry Christmas too, but I remember that Merry Christmas, it's me again as an EAR quote. I think it's a 1991 phone call. It might have even been like one of the. I think it's a confirmed and on record EAR call, which means it can't be later than 91. There's some stuff after. I think he was still calling Jane Carson Sandler all the way up until his arrest. Yeah, I think 91. Tell the pigs. Oh, that's obviously EAR. Tell the pigs I'll be back on New Year's Eve. And EAR would do this thing where he would tell one person in the house something, and then he would tell the other person in the house the complete opposite thing. Like he'd said, if I don't hear about this crime on the news, the next two victims die. And then he told the other person in the same house, if I hear about this on the news, the next two victims die. And so the cops didn't know what to do. But that's a definite EAR quote. That's from an attack scene. I'm only here for your cash and your car keys. Well, trick question, both basically, Zodiac and EAR. But you got to remember that the Berryessa tie up and assault is not unique to Joe D'Angelo. Joe D'Angelo is not the only person who's ever done that. People do that. In fact, EAR might have gotten the idea from Zodiac about throwing the bindings to the woman and having her time. He might have gotten that idea from Zodiac. We don't really know. It was quite famously known about from basically the date that happened, because what's his name? Brian Hartnell talked about it from the hospital a bit. Look at this great wholesome picture of Don Chaney. Isn't he such a good guy? I wish you guys could see this on your screen right now. Don Chaney is a really nice guy. Berryessa is very close to Davis. Yeah, all those areas are close to each other up there. Area seems to breed dirtbags. That's one thing I've figured out. Northern California and the Pacific Northwest, you have Sasquatches and serial killers. Sasquatches are good though, but they have been rowdy in the past. You check Sasquatch Chronicles. Someone asked on Reddit, was Zodiac essentially an attention terrorist? Yes, absolutely. From my earliest videos on New Cokes, I've been referring to him as a domestic terrorist more than a, quote, serial killer. But the idea, the name serial killer was made up by John Douglas and his friends and the FBI, and that wasn't until like the 80s. So a lot of what defines a, quote, serial killer was based on a select few number of, quote, serial killers at that time. And Zodiac was a major, the framework for, having a cooling off period after the first one and then the second one, blah, 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 all this stuff. I think Zodiac kind of set precedent for a lot of that. So is Zodiac necessarily so much of a serial killer, or is he more of a terrorist? I've considered him more of a domestic terrorist because of the bombs and the writing to the press and all this other stuff. Oh no! Look at this thread. This guy thinks he's gonna crack it all right here. Let's cover this. Let's see conspicuous toothpick. Why Arthur Lee Allen is not Zodiac. I don't know if it's because of some documentary or whatever, but people have been saying nonstop recently that ALA is definitely Zodiac. Let's remind ourselves why this is not true. Let's see what he says. Oh my god. Alright, so let's just take this apart one by one. Donald Falk said that ALA was 100 pounds more than the man he saw fleeing the Stein scene, not 10 or 20. A 100-pound difference is quite a bit. Do you know what photo was shown to Donald Falk? Because I know what photo was shown to Donald Falk, and it was shown at a time not contemporaneous to the murder of Paul Stein. So the photo that was shown to Falk might have been a different photo than what was shown to Mageau, but both photos shown to Mageau and Falk show an old, bald, fat Arthur Lee Allen. And I don't know the year on that, but when I see it, I can't show you guys anyway. So let's see when this picture was taken. Going to find it. Falk might have even seen his arrest mugshot from '74. And if that's the case, then what purpose is that fucking point of evidence that you have, supposedly? That, a picture of Allen years later was 100 pounds heavier than he was in 1969? I can't find the exact photo. Oh, it's right here. So let's see when this photo is taken. On the far left. I know the one on the second from left is 1979. It's from... Oh, 1967. And yeah, so Allen could have either fluctuated weights, or that's not even the photo that was shown to Don Falk. Don Falk says that he was 100 pounds more than the man he saw fleeing the Stein scene, but you don't even know what photo. And Allen, his weight changed a lot in his life. There's photos of him skinny. So we have some pictures of Allen as a diver right here. Type young Arthur Lee Allen. And I don't think that he was 300 pounds. Because the guy leaving the Stein scene was described as being, 200 pounds? So I don't think Allen was 300 pounds in the photo that Don Falk saw. Falk also noted ALA's face as being too round, and again, that can come down to if it's a fatter photo of Allen. Nancy Slover said that ALA did not sound like the Zodiac calling after Blue Rock Springs. Yeah, that's not really proof of much. Over a payphone line in 1969, and then Nancy Slover's voice identification test being done decades after the fact. Not to mention Allen could have been putting on a disguised voice, because Nancy Slover said that the man that she talked to on the payphone that night was speaking in a scripted monotone. She's even said, I think it was Nancy Slover that said this, but it could have been somebody else. But I think it was Nancy Slover, said that it's even possible that the caller who reported the Blue Rock Springs shooting might have been using a tape recorder into the phone. Because when Nancy Slover tried to talk to that caller, he just kept talking. He didn't acknowledge, stop, hesitate his speech at all. He just kept going. The whole famous speech, I want to report a double murder. If you will go 2 miles, Columbus, whatever the hell. So. ALA's handwriting never matched Zodiac's handwriting. That's because Zodiac's handwriting is synthetic. Look at the linguistics, not the handwriting, and you will see many similarities. DNA extracted from envelopes never matched ALA. That's because these envelopes are all fumed with ninhydrin, so they're not going to have contemporaneous DNA. The fingerprints at the Stein murder scene didn't match ALA. Proved that claim. Most evidence pointing to ALA was just because I've analyzed those handprints and fingerprints myself, and I see a number of startling similarities. So I would highly recommend that if you believe that the fingerprints at the Stein murder scene don't match ALA, then you have to show your work. Most evidence pointing to ALA was just him showing interest in the Zodiac and trying to emulate his interests. No, it was not. This is not evidence, and really just it's more like bombs under the house, the same kind of ammunition in the drawer, a collection of firearms, same forensic linguistics in the will as in an unsolved cipher at the time. So. All other evidence aside, ALA was way too fat, especially in the face. Well, I would say Michael Mageau's descriptions of his shooter would disagree with that. And what a stupid thread. I think that was paid for by the people who... that was paid for by the people who are marketing. Can't be ALA for those people because then they won't sell a book. But they could write about Arthur Lee Allen. Everybody's tired.
Yeah, what if they are creating accounts?
They are.
Dang.
Gotta be. Here's another thread. Strong indications pointing towards ALA being Zodiac. So we have two different people. This person wants to keep it as short as possible. He says, multiple people independent from each other straight up accusing him or revealing damning information of him being the Zodiac killer. Correct. This is the best part of all this is, and this person's going to give you some names here. But I'm going to cut this list of names down a little bit, and it's still going to be impressive. All of these people independently approached law enforcement and said Arthur Lee Allen is the Zodiac killer, and none of these people had much notable interaction with each other, if any at all. Don Chaney, Sandy Panzarella, Ralph Spinelli. He puts Michael Mageau, but we can talk about that. Mageau did identify Allen in a lineup as the guy who shot him. Mageau was given a photo lineup in 1992 or something like that, 1991. I don't know the exact year, but he was given a photo lineup, and he pointed at Arthur Lee Allen and said, "That's him. That's the man that shot me." And everybody said, "No, the lineup was leading, and that George Baywart wanted him to pick Allen, and that's your claim." But at the end of the day, a Zodiac survivor did point to Allen in a lineup and say, "That's the guy." Seawater siblings.
You're so smart. Baby.
You so smart. Bob Luce and his sons. Yeah, but the Bob Luce stuff is all very recent, and I haven't really properly vetted any of that stuff. But I think some people have the documents on Bob Luce and their work at the gas station together with Allen and Phil Tucker and the Corvair, Phil Tucker's wife. He landed on law enforcement lists 2 separate times for FFS, says the OP. Agreed, yeah. He was questioned in the aftermath of Lake Berryessa, and then separately from that, in 1971, he ended up back on the Zodiac suspect list. And he was visited twice by law enforcement. Or 2 separate, events where they didn't know. Anyway, ALA fitting the personality of the Zodiac killer damn near perfectly. Totally. Exactly and totally. The writing on the car door from Lake Berryessa compared to his handwriting on his vacation from before the killing spree fitting perfectly. You saw the same threads I saw back in the day. The cassette which he left Phyllis with the taunting message, "I am Zodiac forever." Oh, yeah, so here's a picture of that. Now, I want to refute something, to bounce back on that and to play devil's advocate. Tom Voigt has told me that it's possible that writing was added later after Allen's death by the person who owns the VHS tape. Let's see, Arthur Lee Allen VHS tape. But yeah, if Allen did put that there, then it's pretty fucking weird. Have you looked at the Scorpion ciphers? Yes, they're fucking whack. They're also like totally unsolvable. There's too many homophones. It's too polyphonic, that cipher. Or Oh wait, this one. Hello, baby. Gee, who do we know that calls the cops? Lots of offenders call the cops. You know, I mean, it isn't just Zodiac. And, oh, here's the VHS tape. So this VHS tape says, "I am the Zodiac forever," on it, or "I am Zodiac forever," and you can see this. I am Zodiac forever. 86. And this was given by Arthur Lee Allen to, I think Connie Seawater, Phyllis Seawater. I think it's for Phyllis Seawater. What say on there? So it might have been him. Anyway, so him straight up, yeah, that of course the Berryessa interrogation is extremely suspicious. So anyway, that's what's going on in Reddit land. They're still going back and forth on this, and they've had no new arguments. Actually, the waffle deal stuff that came out has been pretty new and interesting, though. That's happened since I got into Zodiac. But before that, it's a lot of the same back and forth stuff, and I think everybody's realized it. All the evidence from Marvin Margolis. The Zodiac killer's name was not Marvin Margolis, guys. That's not even a fucking real name.
Babe.
You're being very reductive and ignoring several key case-breaking pieces of information. Lived within a critical 500-mile radius of Vallejo, knew the alphabet, didn't enjoy fighting in World War II. He's a man, he wrote letters, he used cabs. He wrote English, he wrote on paper. Yeah, man, the whole thing is so ridiculous at this point. Everybody's these coincidences. Nobody has what Alan has. You know, basically a half dozen unconnected witnesses who all independently approach law enforcement and tell them that guy's the Zodiac killer, and then law enforcement goes and checks and finds bombs under his house. All these other guys, like you're saying, oh, here's Marvin Margolis. What else is going on? I think that's about it. I think that's around about it. Anyway, so guys, we still haven't caught the I-70 killer. We're working on it. I don't know what to say. I think that I would like to know who St. Charles's person of interest is, but they're not going to tell us. There's no new information in true crime, guys. True crime is all old information now. We've covered it all, and we're all up to date. So we need to find out how to get in. Oh, you know how to get into Amazon, huh?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, good night, everybody.